What the heck is going on YouTube? It's me, your boy, back at it again with another video, and today I'm gonna be showing you how to make some freaking awesome tomato sauce, dudes. If you've seen my videos, you know I like going to the farmer's market. If you haven't, you can see the video of me going to it. It's the best way to get fresh produce, like flat out. You get produce there that's you can't normally find in the supermarkets, either because of yield or it has a super short growing season or it's very fragile. And like I said, peak season. You know what's in peak season right now? Tomatoes. I'm really picky about tomatoes. I don't eat fresh tomatoes unless it's either July or August. Since that's the growing season, that's the best way to get flavor. One of the best things to do to capture that flavor, to use it year-round, is make tomato sauce or can the tomatoes themselves. I got some really awesome varieties, and I'm gonna show you how to make some really awesome tomato sauce you can make at home. The varieties I got today, we got these two pretty big pineapple tomatoes. Exactly what they sound like. They really smell like a pineapple tropical fruit, really sweet. I've got these cool looking like zebra tomatoes. No, not zebra, tiger tomatoes, which are a plum variety. Kind of reminds me more of San Marzano. Never tried them. That's what's exciting about farmers markets. You see something you like you've never had before, try it out. Something I do like in the last variety are early girl tomatoes. Really sweet, low acidity. I think it's gonna make for a really awesome sauce. So yeah, these are fresh, not getting any fresher. Let's go ahead and make some sauce. So the sauce I'm showing you today is pretty similar to the Serious Eats method of making sauce. We really want to emphasize the sweetness and freshness of these farm fresh tomatoes. So what we're going to do is make some homemade tomato paste, which is easier than you think. And then we're gonna go ahead and combine that with some sauce that's simmered for about 30 to 40 minutes, as well as adding some juice that's just pretty much fresh squeezed tomatoes. Let's start off with the tomato paste. I would say this step is pretty crucial, as it really adds a big punch to the sauce, and it makes it complex instead of one-dimensional. We're pretty much making tomato candy in this step. So what we're going to do is roughly chop up a portion, about 30 to 40% of our tomatoes. You can go ahead and leave the stems and pits on, because those will be filtered later when we strain them. We're gonna simmer these tomatoes in some pans on about medium heat for around 10 minutes. Don't add any extra water. The tomatoes are gonna reduce down on their own, and the purpose of this is to separate some of the juice from the flesh when we go ahead and grind and strain the tomatoes. It essentially makes it easier for the tomatoes to give up their juice. So after the 10 minutes are up, we can see that juice is already separating from their flesh. And now it's time to strain them. I'm personally using a KitchenAid attachment, which I'll link in the description below, but you could go ahead and use a regular food mill, which I think can be bought for about $20 or $30, I think. I'll go ahead and link one of those as well. We're separating all the seeds, flesh, and stems from that delicious tomato nectar that we want. And here you could really see the difference between the variety of the tomatoes we got. The plum tomatoes we got have a lot less of water content compared to the super juicy and watery pineapple tomato. Again, you don't need to stress on the tomato choices if you don't have these specifically at your local market, but choose whatever is fresh and available to you. And try to use plum tomatoes if you can, but no sweat if you can't. Now we're going to grease a baking sheet with some olive oil and pour in our tomato juice. We're going to spread it as evenly as we can and put it in the oven at 275 degrees Fahrenheit. You could also use a baking pan, but it'll take a little bit longer. Now there isn't a set time on when it'll be done. You just have to check about every 15 minutes. Now this footage is from a different batch, but this is exactly what the texture should look like. It should be pretty much like the tomato paste you could buy at the store. You should be able to scrape the tomato paste and have it bunch up. Like, no liquid should be separating. And here you can see I pick it up with a spoon and it doesn't fall down. Now we're going to make the bulk sauce. We're going to roughly chop up the rest of our tomatoes and put it in a large stock pot or Dutch oven. Reduce this again for 10 minutes like the previous step to loosen up the tomatoes. And this is what it should look like after those 10 short minutes. A lot of liquid has been given up, so now it's time to juice them. And hey, if you found this video interesting so far, please consider giving it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. It really helps out the channel and I'd greatly appreciate it. Something to note is you don't want to rush this. You're working with pretty much boiling tomatoes, so go slowly so you don't burn yourself. At the end of it, you should have a good amount of juice when things are all said and done. Now you want to take a portion of this juice and set aside. It's really important. I had about 1.5 quarts of juice, and I saved a little bit over 1 cup to use for later. But for now, let's work on the reduced sauce. We're going to add some olive oil in a large stock pot or Dutch oven and saute some onions and garlic. Go ahead and use however much you feel comfortable with, but don't go overboard since we're really trying to highlight the tomato flavor. Once the onions and garlic are translucent, add your tomato juice, but make sure not to add that 1 portion of juice we set aside just yet. After reducing this for about 30 to 40 minutes on medium heat, now we want to add our tomato paste and that juice we set aside. We set aside that juice to really preserve that fresh tomato flavor that's so important to this sauce. And that paste adds that really big wallop of intense, concentrated tomato flavor. Now you're going to season a taste, but I really didn't add anything except for a little bit of salt and pepper because it's really just amazing on its own. Add your sauce to some sterilized jars and you have yourself some amazing homemade tomato sauce using farm fresh tomatoes. This tastes like nothing you could buy at the store, and I think you'll be really happy with the results. You could use it in anything you'd use regular tomato sauce for, just like this spaghetti I made the other day with Parmesan, burrata cheese, basil, and some parsley. It was awesome, easily restaurant quality. I really hope you consider going to your local farmer's market and trying this at home. You're going to be supporting some local farmers on a process, and it's currently August. So we have this month and plus probably September, maybe October to get the freshest tomatoes of the year. But anyways, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe if you haven't done so already. My name is David, and I'll see you in the next one.